All right, welcome back to the Comic Binge. I am your host, Paul Herman. Join with me, my good friend, Adam, Mr. Ridgetop. How are you doing, Adam?
Hey, I am good. Thanks again for having me back.
Absolutely, dude. This is like, again, I feel like our show, people I think commented on the most of all the Comic Binge episodes so far was on our last show. And it was really cool.
I'll have to catch up with some of those comments.
Yeah, it was like a lot. I mean, I'm still small potatoes. Don't get me wrong here, but one person, and I don't remember your name off the top of my head, but I actually really appreciate it. They said, I'm actually looking forward to your guys' review more than the actual comic book.
Hey, I get that, but that's how it goes sometimes. I remember with Prometheus, I was so disappointed in that after initially seeing it, and then when the Blu-ray came out, there was this 4-hour-long documentary
so good
by Charles de Lauzirika that went into everything, and I was like,
amazing.
Whoa, this is a much cooler watch than the movie itself. So,
well, it's funny you bring that up again. You know me, King of Side Tangents. The part where the art department goes, yeah, and when Ridley came in and said, this is going to be not
it's
even
a guy in a suit.
Yeah. Or what did he say? He goes, what do the art department guys say? He basically said, yeah, I expected it to be one way, and Ridley came in and totally did not go anything close to what we were thinking. And you can just tell the way he said it. It was like,
yeah, we're not so sure about this idea, but we can't question Ridley Scott. So,
and we're not going to question the paycheck, kind of a thing. Which again, I hold no ill grudge. Actually, I like Prometheus a lot more the second time.
There's things I really respect about both prequels, and I respect the hell out of Ridley Scott as a director.
Dude, I love Ridley Scott.
A visual, world builder. Scott is amazing. But
I mean,
he does have his issues as well. No one's beyond criticism.
Oh, of course. And I think that with Ridley Scott, he's one of my all-time favorite directors. He's directed some of my favorite movies, Alien, Blade Runner. I mean, come on. And he's also, I love movies like obviously Matchstick Men. That's a great movie.
Yeah, it was. Even his recent stuff like The Martian. I love The Martian. That's what got me stoked for Covenant, because I was like, whoa, he can still do sci-fi. I mean, he could still do sci-fi with Prometheus. Prometheus was a good sci-fi movie.
I agree.
An alien prequel.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It was built wrong. If they would have built it as a sci-fi movie and it surprised you at the end, I feel it might have been a little bit more accepted, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. But The Martian I really loved. And I was like, oh man, if he can emulate some of this into the next Alien movie, I'm super hyped and on board. I'll give him another chance. And then Covenant came out. I was like,
I'll have to tell you a story about. I don't know if I said on the podcast, on the AVP podcast when I was on that one time, but my wife and I had a date night when we saw Covenant, and it was just like it was a trip, man. I was like, I'm like, what is? I'm like, this is totally not okay. All right, so it's a whole different podcast, but today we got some cool stuff. We're going to review issue 4, which I cannot wait to get into with my friend here. And we also have some cool announcements, which I know Adam had brought to my attention. And I think it's definitely worth bringing up and talking about, especially in light of this issue. So this issue comic book, that is, not the issue of the comic, of the issues that you have with the comic, Adam. So, but anyway, so diving into it, I know for those who maybe hadn't watched the last episode we did, but we basically have, I would say, this is how I would sum it up, Adam, and you can stop me if I'm out of line here, but I would say that I've enjoyed every issue, pretty much, I'd say almost on par with each other, and you have liked it less and less every issue, correct?
Yes. Every issue is worse for me.
Wow. So we're on issue 4. So so this issue is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson and drawn by Lil Roca. What his first name is, whatever, Lil Roca, Salvador Lil Roca. It's right there on the top. Oh, I'm so terrible with names. So anyway, this is the 4th issue of the is it 6-issue miniseries or 5-issue?
6.
Okay,
I believe.
All right,
so we have 2 more left.
Yeah, 2 more left. I know. Unfortunately for you, I know it's 6 left, I think. But
question though, real quick. Let me interject
go ahead.
here.
Please.
Because I don't know how it works with Marvel. Sometimes it was like this with Dark Horse. The last issue of an arc, is it typically longer?
No, it depends. I think normally no, but it depends on how. I think it depends on the book and depends on, you know, the title, the writers and all that stuff. You know, I would suspect probably not, but that I could be wrong. But anyway, this issue picks up where the last one left off. Again, I try to keep these as spoiler free as possible. We're gonna do a little bit of spoilers, obviously. I'm not gonna show the last page. I think people need to buy the comic to get that, even though you could see what this other thing is on a cover of something else. I just don't feel right doing that.
Yeah. We'll try and be light on spoilers, but I mean, if you've listened to this many episodes, you're probably reading along with us. So.
Yeah, you're probably reading along. And so I will be doing a spoiler from the last issue. We have no choice because he's right on the cover here. So last issue we left off that there's an android, a bishop android on the ship with them, and it's going to help them basically get off the ship. And I believe this is one that was in communication with the Gabriel's counselor bishop. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe it's the same one he was talking to at the beginning of issue 1 on the station, who I guess he had previously been on the mission with in his flashback. So a bit more of a history with this bishop.
Yeah. So for me, I'll start off with
go ahead.
Only because I think I'm definitely going to be the more positive of the two. So I'm going to start with the positive because plus I want to let Adam have the last word because he's the mega Alien fan. I don't want him to kind of to give his knowledge out. But for me, I like this issue. Again, there's nothing groundbreaking in it, but there's lots of story developments that I'm really into. And something I almost forgot because I unlike maybe some people out there, I don't reread every issue like as it goes. And some people will do that. I think it's awesome. They'll go every time they get an issue, they'll go back and read the last 2 or 3, or if it's a miniseries, they'll start from issue 1 and read all the way through again. I don't do that. I just don't have time. Time is of the essence right now for me, and I don't have time to do that. But I do remember, I remembered that reading this, that Gabriel had that scar on his chest. And that comes to light in this issue. And it plays a pivotal role in the series, or in this issue specifically. And it was really interesting to me. And I wanted to ask you about that because the chest signifies, obviously, he had a chest burster.
Yeah.
At one point.
And that's kind of made obvious in this issue.
Yeah. Right. It was heavily implied in the previous comics, but it was pretty much confirmed in this comic, and which I don't really believe is that big of a spoiler. It's whatever. It's because I think it's, I just don't think it's that big, but sorry if you were, whatever. That being said, I really like that. I won't spoil what that significance means completely at this point. I have a page I want to show. I might spoil it, but not necessarily, but we'll see. But anyway, I really like that. I really like the fact that that he's had this, and they shed light on that a little bit. And what does that mean? And because for me, when someone gets infected, I don't remember. And again, this is maybe my ignorance of alien stuff, but the alien stuff that I've read or watched, I don't remember people surviving having a chest burster, not coming out necessarily, but it's inside them and taking it out before it chest burst. So I don't know how accurate or how much canon this is or whatever, but I did like the fact that it's playing a part with this character.
Well, to kind of touch on that, different alien media has had different interpretations of that. There have been a number of media that have had the placenta idea, which was heavily shown in Aliens Colonial Marines, the video game, which is even if you remove the chest burster, it leaves behind
an embryo.
Well, not an embryo, but a placenta that's kind of cancerous and eventually will kill you anyway.
Okay.
So you're as good as dead anyway. But I mean, we also have Alien Resurrection, where they remove the chest burster from Ripley and she's okay. And
that's right.
But she was an alien hybrid too.
Yeah.
So that goes into account. But I'm fairly positive there's been other media where the alien's been removed. So yeah, I mean, the alien universe is very vast with a lot of different movies, comics, novels, games, and so sometimes they contradict each other. And this is one of those things where a few of them have, like in the Alien Resurrection video game, if you get face hug, you get this portable surgical unit that can just take out the chest burster for you, and you're fine. So I've always been of the side where I think it can be removed, and the host can survive, which Gabriel has shown that he can survive. But at the same time, it was alluded to as early as the first issue that he has this illness. And I was like, okay, well, what is this illness? And it seems to be tying into these night terrors he's having about his experience with the alien. And there could be some sort of bond or psychic connection or whatever between him and the aliens because he was a former host, and that has also been touched upon.
Okay.
There's another comic which I highly recommend, which is one of the latter Dark Horse comics called Dust to Dust, and it also deals with that sort of theme. So I'm intrigued to see where that goes.
Okay. Should we read Dust to Dust, by the way?
Yeah,
eventually.
No,
okay,
I'm down to read that one again as well.
I'll write that down. I'll write that down for us.
So to long story short, the whole chest burster surviving or not, like obviously if it burst out of you, you're not going to survive. But if it's surgically removed, it's my opinion that there's been more media than not that shows you could survive. But there have been some that have shown you're done for either way.
Do you think that this might, because it's Marvel, and this is probably more than likely the permanent home for comic books, and obviously with Disney, unless they sell off the property or whatever, which again, I don't see why they would ever do that, but you never know. Do you think, well, I guess I'm saying all that because do you think this will be like a canonized, we talked a lot on the last podcast I did with you guys, that, you know, is it going to be a one canon or is it going to be a lot of contradictions? I kind of tend to want there to be some kind of definitive canon. I'm like that kind of person. I don't like it too loose. Do you think this will be a definitive thing, you think, for the Alien franchise going forward?
I'm not sure. Because with Dark Horse, you know, there were a few different continuities, but they also had like main continuities, and sometimes they do a soft reboot with that, but it would still kind of reference previous comics.
Sure.
So it did get very convoluted when all was said and done with Dark Horse. But in terms of what Marvel's going to do, I don't know. I mean, Aftermath looks pretty unique for a one shot, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I wouldn't think. I mean, maybe I wouldn't think it'll reference this at all. It just looks like its own self-contained story. Yeah. But as far as like, I don't want to see a bunch of contradictions, of course.
No,
but,
right. Yeah, I mean,
because there's enough of that already. But I don't know how Marvel's gonna. I mean, you tell me. Like, you have things with DC, right? With the New 52, where it's just we're just gonna reboot this, right?
Yeah. Well, Marvel. So, and I said on your guys' last show that I think there probably will be a more definitive canon, at least with the comics itself. I would hope with the whole franchise, to be quite honest. With Star Wars, they definitely do that. And I went on verbatim about that one on that show. But at the same time, I just don't know if anyone's really in charge of the Alien franchise, like a Lucasfilm is with Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't know if they have as big of obviously they don't have as big of a story group as Star Wars does. But
they have a story group for Alien. I don't know, do they?
I don't know either. So,
well, you should be on it, sir. That's all I got to say. I mean,
we're trying. A lot of things have changed with the big shift here, and we're still catching our bearings. But
but anyway, so to wrap up my positive thoughts, I would say I don't have anything mainly negative. The art didn't stick out to me, which I'm very curious about what you have to say about that today. But everything it felt like a good flow of the story for me. I felt very natural. I really felt Gabriel's pain in this. I have been enjoying this comic book. I have no issues with this thing. I know I'm waiting for the floodgates to open here in a few minutes, sir, but it's just so funny to me. I was telling Adam this before, everybody, that I love the fact that me and Adam are so different about this comic series, and that I love any kind of series or any kind of shows that have two people, talking and discussing something that they totally feel differently about in a very positive way. And I love that. And so for me, again, just kind of no spoilers as much as I can. And I'll bring up a couple pages here that I love. First of all, I love the cover. I think the cover's sweet.
Yeah. No, I've had no problems with the covers except for the ones by LaRocca.
Give me strength, God. Give me strength. No, it's all good. Couple things, and this is the one I'm curious what your thoughts. I think this is beautiful, personally. I freaking love this, and I'm not going to say anything about this page, but I think again, this is beautifully. It's very simple. As far as the layout itself, it's 3 panels. Obviously, the overlapping splash page with 2 panels overlapping it. It's simple, but it's really effective. And I love Gabriel's expression, the face hugger, and I'm not sure. Again, I feel like an alien poser here. What is this character surrounded in called, sir?
Hive resin.
See, thank you. I'm going to learn so much through Adam, and I can't wait. This is good. This is great. Hive resin. Okay, cool. But yeah, I think the face hugger here looks fantastic. This, I have no problems with this. And before you get into your spiel here, sir, just quick thought about this page in particular. Is there any problem you have with this page?
I mean, the colors are solid, and it has a good tone about it. Like you said, Gabriel's expression, you can tell what's going on just by like what we're seeing here. Mm-hmm. There's a bit of a weird perspective issue with the facehugger's finger, the top left digit, and how it's kind of like going behind
by his ear.
Son. Yeah, I've noticed that with LaRocca stuff throughout this whole series. There's a couple of weird perspective issues where things don't quite match up as you would expect with perspective. But sure. I mean, that's a minor gripe for this panel, which is one of the stronger panels in the issue.
Cool. All right, I'm glad you agree with that.
Yeah, I do like the texture of the hive resin. The blue coloration is very reminiscent of Aliens, that sort of vibe.
This whole series has an Alien, the second film vibe. I mean, which I think is purposeful.
To be fair, I think that the chest burster LaRocca did in the previous issue was pretty good. And the facehugger here, other than that weird little perspective issue, looks good to me. Cool. Just on first impression.
Yeah, and so I have one more thing before I add. I throw it to you, sir. Is I really like this. This looked good. I'm not sure if this was a toy or anything. I'm sure you would tell me if it was.
I believe the one in front is the Hot Toys Big Chap, which he's used a bit, and it looks like the one to his rear left is one of the NECA ones. I can just tell because the hand pose is very much.
LaRocca, you're killing me here, man. I'm trying to defend you here, so you're killing me with this guy. These guys,
and this is a problem I have with LaRocca, and maybe I don't know, because I think the colors are generally good, but one thing that I have a problem with is there's not much of a sense of depth for me. Like you can have a panel where a hallway's going way back, but it's not like it looks very flat. It's not. You don't have the shading that gives it that distance kind of feel, at least from my perspective.
And I just thought of something, because I know you're a big video game guy, right? Yeah. So, and I'm not. Like, I am admittedly just not. I like video games, but I just don't play them enough, and especially now, I'm not sure if it's not a Star Wars game, I'm probably not going to play it. It's just I'm so busy right now. That being said, I wonder if that's part of your kind of maybe is that a video game thing you think maybe perhaps, or I'm just curious.
I think it's an art student thing.
Yeah,
I went to university as an art student, and there's things that like irritate me, like that sort of thing.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Because for me, again, I am not, and obviously it never will be an art student. I'm not, and I don't pay attention those kinds of things necessarily when I'm looking at a page.
Yeah, and most people won't. And
right. Like, but you see, but this is where I would say that I think what has merit, what you're saying, is the fact that there are people that will, and there's still a number of people that's going to bug. And let's be real, if you're buying a comic book, you have to buy it for the art. I mean, the stories can be. It's evident. I think the story is not bad here. I mean, again, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong here when you chime in, but I would say that the art is why we're buying it for the most part, not necessarily the story. The story is fine, but the art is what's giving it. Usually gives a comic it's 80%.
I mean, it's kind of the thing that initially sells you on a comic, right? You open the pages and you're like, oh, does this look awesome? Or I don't like the look of this, before you even know what the story's about. But I think ultimately your final opinion comes down to a pretty equal weighting of both, in my view. It's
weird. Yeah, it's weird because I do and I don't. It really depends on the story. It depends on every individual comic book and series. It's just weird. Sometimes
have you seen a comic that just has awesome art but the story sucks?
Yeah, it's called the Image 90s.
Yeah.
I say that in jest because I actually do like some Image stuff. Yeah, there's a plenty of stories out there that have fantastic art. In fact, even though I like the stories, okay, there was a Moon Knight series when I got back into comic books in 2005. There was a Moon Knight series drawn by David Finch, and the art is just beautiful. It's so good, and the story is just kind of, it's not awful, it's just not great.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I would totally read that again just for the art alone. Like, I'm not coming back to the story. I'd read it just for the art, because the art is that good. And
I'm sure on the flip side, there's comics that have really solid
absolutely.
stories, and the art is not really up to par, or it's just mediocre.
Absolutely. So you're right, and that's where I would say I'm just curious. For me, when you point those things out, it's fascinating because of your art student background, and I'm just like a big dumb idiot. It was like, dude, art looks good. I'm just kind of taking it on the face value, which again, both are not wrong, but we both look at different things. And so
art is subjective. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Again, if you're enjoying this, enjoy it. Like, don't let me bring you down.
But again, I love the fact that you're pointing out things that I think that other people have issues with that I don't understand. And then it makes, when you explain it like that, I totally get LaRocca. I mean, I understand LaRocca's people's complaints about LaRocca for the most part, but for this, I'm having a harder time than the people's negative opinions for the most part. Mm-hmm. And when you explain it like that, it does help me understand. And like the last episode, especially, it did help me understand a little bit of your criticisms and go, okay, I understand those.
And aliens, as far as just the creatures themselves, they're very difficult to draw, right? They're very complex looking creatures. And for fans like us, we've seen so much alien fan art. We've seen so many alien comics that we're going to know what we like and what we don't in terms of if the artist can pull off the alien. And again, that's subjective too. Like, people could love the aliens in this. But that's going to count pretty heavily, I think, towards for people in our fandom community, what their ultimate opinion is going to be about this comic, because you're doing an alien comic. If the aliens don't work artistically, then it's gonna bring down the comic.
I think that you're right, and that's where I understand from the comic book fan perspective of mine, without being the fan and the level of you are for this franchise. I totally get it. If the alien doesn't look good, then you have issues with the art, and especially with the aesthetic that's going on around it. I totally get why you'd be like, this is bull crap, you know? Yeah. So the last thing I'll say before I throw it to Adam here, and obviously Adam keeps chiming in, which I love. I love the fact.
Oh yeah, sorry, I don't mean to step on your review.
No. I honestly, I actually love getting your feedback because instead of just waiting, me personally, I don't like going your turn, my turn. I don't really like that necessarily. So I love the fact you're kind of chiming in, and then I'll try to do the same when you.
Yeah, no, you feel free too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're all good, homie. All right, so the last thing I'm going to talk about, and it's not really a spoiler, but this is about Gabriel talking about the alpha. And I want to talk about the alpha without showing the alpha, because I think I actually think the picture at the last panel, Adam, was pretty cool, personally. I really liked it. I thought it was better than the cover that you were showing me a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago or whatever.
Than In-Hook Lee's cover?
Yeah, I thought it looked great. I mean, it's very well detailed. I still am like, this looks like a Hot Toys Big Chap with a crown head put on it. I honestly thought Lee In-Hook, I don't know, because his name is I'm sorry. Dude, what's your name? Yeah, but, whatever your name is.
Whatever your name, however it's pronounced. I do think his interpretation with the covers is better, in my opinion.
Yeah, no. And I'm not saying it's bad. I just thought the rendering, as far as the comic book itself on the last page, was really cool. It just, again, what Philip Kennedy Johnson has been doing with this series and ending on a splash page. We ended on with the Bishop android, obviously, in the last issue, and with this one we ended on the Alpha alien, which again I'm assuming is a new concept to Alien, or am I wrong?
I mean, there's a book that's been pretty well received recently by Alex White called Into Cridbus. And that one of the new aliens is referred to as an alpha, but it's, I believe, a totally different idea.
Okay.
Than this. So as far as
don't mesh necessarily
with the novels and comics, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. More recently, they have not, but sometimes they do have little nods to each other as well. But I don't know if Titan is coordinating with Marvel. I don't believe they are.
Probably
but I
not,
think
yeah.
with Dark Horse they were a little bit on
Okay.
occasion, but it wasn't that much.
Sure. Right on. Yeah. So I would say, wrapping up my thoughts again, I thought it was a really solid issue. I liked it. And I really liked the alpha alien at the end. I mean, if you're curious what it looks like, you can Google it online, I guess. But I think you should just buy the comic personally and read it. I think it's a solid read. I don't have the issues with the art like Mr. Adam does. But Adam, getting into your thoughts, I know they're gonna be a little more negative than mine. But I'm curious, what was your thoughts on this issue?
Yeah. So I just kind of feel like the story feels like it's not really. I don't know. It's not moving at a pace I'd like to see. It just kind of feels like they're meandering on the space station a bit.
Interesting.
Also, I did have a problem with this scene where, and this is kind of a bit of a spoiler, but where Gabriel points the gun at his son's head after his son has been face hugged Danny's head, and I'm like, dude, you're trying to get an alien embryo. Here it is. And your proof that you can survive, that you're really going to blow your son's head off. Like what? So that part to me was another part like the last issue, kind of like their encounter with the first adult alien in the last issue, or is just a bit nonsensical. And I was like, but dude, you're trying to save your son. You're trying to get the alien embryo. Here's your solution right here. You're going to shoot your solution in the head. So that for me was just kind of like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And he did execute his friend in the previous issue as well, who was implanted. And it kind of made me think back on that. Like, okay, you're proof that someone can survive this. Why are you not giving them a chance? Like,
but yeah. See, and I totally get. I think that's a fair criticism. And again, I'm giving the series the benefit of the doubt a little bit more, maybe. And I don't blame you for not wanting to do that at this point, because given again at this point, you're like, okay, I'm this far along, and I don't really love what I'm reading, so I totally get why you wouldn't. And again, and if they don't do this, Adam, I will definitely call it foul at this point. I'll be like, okay, that wasn't really smart. But I would say I got the impression that there's a legitimate reason why, even though he survived himself, he did not want that same thing for his son.
Yeah, and I got that as well. Like, right. Okay, well, he has these nightmares. He has this illness he's alluded to. Like, what is this? Are they the same thing? But at the same time, he seems to be managing with it. Like,
right. But we don't know how as far as how and what that cost him necessarily either. I think, and this is where I'm wondering, it might not be a physical side effect, but maybe an emotional side effect. And that's where I'm wondering, because he talks about how he lost connection with the son and he became a terrible father. And I'm assuming when he was impregnated or in whatever you want to call it. But he might have been, maybe that's what cost him his relationship with his family, because in fact he was gone and recouping for so long. I'm just guessing at this point, but it feels like, again, the emotional crux of the story is based upon his survival of that previous encounter, and that he doesn't want the same thing to happen to his son. And that's why he was considering killing him there. Now, granted, that's me projecting onto the story. That's not necessarily.
Well, I don't know if he was considering. He was about to until he was stopped by some other characters.
Is this the Last Jedi all over again?
Right?
No, God. Fair point. No, I totally agree with you. The fact he was considering and almost doing that, I tend to think that there's a legitimate reason for it and maybe both a physical and an emotional standpoint. I mean, obviously an emotional because your death experience, you have an alien in your sight, your freaking body, right? But I think there's something more there. And you brought up a good point too earlier when I was discussing my stuff, Adam. You had brought up the fact that he has a psychic link to the aliens, perhaps.
Well, perhaps, yeah.
Yeah, no, right. It was
emphasis on the perhaps.
And again, a lot of what I'm projecting onto the comic book are things that he being the writer, Philip Kennedy Johnson, has been, I think, putting in the story or implying enough to where it's possible those things are there for a reason.
You get the sense too before he executed his friend's like, oh, she's looking for you, the one in the dark, implying whoever this Giger-esque female-looking figure is, and if that's the alpha, that's just his like mind's interpretation of the alpha or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, I like that. See, and that's where I think from the emotional part of the story. Again, I'm a big theme guy. If people who have watched these episodes before should know that I love themes. I mean, and every story has themes, even no matter how deep they are or how surface and how just kind of just surface level it is. You can usually find meaning in art regardless. And, everyone's interpretation of that theme or art is going to be different and what they get out of it. And I definitely like the feeling of just and again, legacy is a very tired trope, and everything. But the one thing about this series that I think that I like a lot is that it's about legacy, but it's more about, I don't want what I had. I want something better for you.
But another interesting thing that Gabriel Cruz says is some part of me wants to be found. And so, the Giger-esque woman, like Syl, if you're going by the Species movies, it was all about like seduction, right? So maybe, awesome. Maybe it's like some part of me wants to be found because he had that connection with the embryo.
Yeah.
There's some sort of a, maybe I belong with the aliens kind of thing going on. I don't know, but it'll be intriguing to see where that goes, if anywhere.
Yeah. So continue. I'm sure you have other things.
Right. So again, I don't know, just some of the pacing issues with me. It was like, wait, what's going on now? So the poses with the aliens, again, they all look like figures to me. They're all kind of in boring poses to me. I'm just kind of reviewing it here right now. The Queen shows up, I believe, at one page, just very briefly, which is pretty different than we typically see in the comics. Usually there's a big like establishing, oh, this is the Queen, but it's just like a panel where we see her face and that's it. And it's not really established even. It's just kind of shown really quick. And I was like, oh, okay, the Queen's there. It's the NECA Queen, by the way. And one of the environments ripped is from, well, two of the environments ripped actually that I've recognized so far from Alien Resurrection. So those are my problems with the art so far. Again, there are some panels that are stronger, like the one where Danny is face hugged. In terms of Bishop, I mean, it's just kind of like the Bishop we know from Aliens. I think that's just kind of a bit of fan service, and it's the same thing with Hamilton, right? This is very much the Marine character evokes the Hudson game over man, like kind of thing, and it's just kind of not handled well, in my opinion. Fan service can be done right, and you can have like phrases or callbacks that are done well, and this one it's not. Like Hamilton makes a comment like, oh, what am I supposed to tell my daughter? Like I said, there weren't monsters. And that was obviously hearkening back to Newt's line. My mommy told me there were no monsters, but there are. And I was like, okay. Like, so it was just like a bit of fan service that I think fell flat. And fan service can either be the greatest thing for fans, or it can be like, you thought we would like this kind of thing. So again, and also when the corporate guy gives Cruz the mission initially, I just found it so funny that he was like, you're getting two men top of the line, like they know what they're doing, and they didn't even look at the brief or anything, and they were just like, what are we doing here? Like we don't know anything about what's going on. So that sort of thing was just like, really, you're giving him these guys?
Well, I think but I took that again. You can take that as they don't care, and they expected him not to. They didn't want him to survive, right? So I mean,
no, I think they want him to get the sample.
Well, but maybe they want to be the sample again. I mean, I only will push back a little bit. Let's wait and see what the next couple issues give, because I think we're going to get more of the unfolding story. Because I think obviously. There's a lot more going on, I think, from a story standpoint. Now, what I will say, if I end up being right, and not saying you'll like it any more than you do now, but if I do end up being right, I will give you the fact that Philip probably should have done a little bit more building with a little more emphasizing more of those kind of things that might be coming back around, and being a little bit too mysterious, and maybe and that might have given the stakes a little bit more in the comic books themselves if he gave more information with that. I don't, again, that's better in hindsight, maybe, I don't know, but regardless, wrapping up your thoughts on this issue or anything, whatever else you want to say, please.
So yeah, I mean, they're about to escape, but they find out the aliens have sabotaged the well, I won't go into too many spoilers with that, but again, it just sets up, they're going to be running around the space station again in the next issue. And so I'm like, can we see something like really like a revelation of what's going on in the station? Like, you had me intrigued with all the animal hybrids earlier in the series, like yeah, well, beyond that, all the ones that were in the Resident Evil 3 tanks. I'm like, so what's going on with those things? Are we going to get into that, or the alpha was an embryo and now it's an adult? So the story still has me intrigued. There were just a few more of those moments like, why are you doing this, Gabriel? Like, this doesn't seem like the best course of action right now.
That's fair. That's fair.
But again, we're going to look at this overly critical, right? Like, again, I have to stress the point. We had Dark Horse for 30 years. Whatever Marvel was going to put out now, we were going to be hypercritical about it because there's very much mixed emotions. Yes, it's exciting. Sure. Wow, Marvel's huge. They're this big publisher. But a lot of us really loved some of those Dark Horse comics, and this is a totally different group of people working on a lot of this stuff, and so it's a big switch for us. Unfortunately, this is not as I've said before, this is not the launch I would have liked. That doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy it and love it if you are. And again, I'm happy for you if you are. But the general sentiment in our community that I'm seeing on our forums, on YouTube, with some of the other Alien fans out there, is they're not happy about this comic. They're not enjoying this comic.
It's a bummer, man. Because I definitely feel that Marvel purposely has made, like you brought up the fact that there's a lot of callbacks to Aliens itself, and I felt that immediately, and it's obvious. But I think it's because they want to try to bring in the general audience into it. And I think that there is a double-edged sword with that.
Yeah. And there always is, balancing the hardcore fandom with the mainstream appeal.
It's hard.
Yep.
Yeah. And I feel like in the middle of that. I'm not an average fan by any means. I think you know that. I'm not close to what you are at all either. So I'm very much in the middle. And I think that I'm not saying I'm like on the barometer. That's what you want to appease, but I definitely feel that they have succeeded in giving me a solid. I didn't say this was great, but it's a solid story, and I'm enjoying what I'm reading. So, again, we have 2 more issues. Maybe it'll
come together for me. There was one issue I forgot to mention, actually, that the female character that was part of the anti-corporate act or extremist group, I guess, terrorist group, whatever you want to call them. They kind of ally themselves with her now, and he's like, don't make me regret trusting you. And she has a gun, and I don't know. It kind of reminded me of that movie with Johnny Depp, Transcendence, if you've seen that.
I've never seen
where there's like this anti technology terrorist that literally like murdered people earlier in the movie, and then the government group is just like, oh, here, take this gun and work with us. And I'm like, really? She murdered people on the station. She brought your son in this. You're just going to let her have a gun? You're not going to put her into custody right there? I get like the situation and all that, but it just seems like, I don't know. It's another one of those, are we really doing the right course of action here, Gabriel? Moments? And that is something you have to kind of stretch yourself a little bit with. And I will admittedly say that it's like, okay, all right, I'll go with it. I understand. So for those who are wondering what we thought, it's more the same as far as it's me and Adam on opposite ends. Yeah, you're liking it. I'm not.
which is fine. Again, I think it does show. It just shows people. I think that Marvel is going for maybe a different setting with this as far as trying to appease people. And I'm sure there's some hardcore fans that are digging it. Some out there, maybe not as much, but
there must be some.
Yeah, hopefully. But I think they're definitely aiming for people like me who like the franchises a lot, who haven't dived in a ton of the Dark Horse stuff, but this is a good opportunity for them, and I haven't been enjoying what I've been getting. And so with that, they have more coming out, sir. And you alerted me. Yes. And so I want you to go ahead and take it away, and go ahead and we'll start with let's go with the shorter one first, which was the Omnibus, the second volume, correct?
This is actually Omnibus 3.
Oh, three. I'm sorry.
So this is Marvel's. They just announced their third Alien Omnibus, and this is the main cover art. And this will be the first one, I think, that I'm undecided if I'm going to get the direct market variant cover or the main cover, because I really like how the aliens look here. Like, this is some solid artwork. And let me just find the artist here. It's
I was going to say, who's the artist?
Carlos
Pacheco. Yeah, he's great. Oh, he's fantastic.
Let you say his name.
I'm terrible at names too, but I know who he is. He's a great artist. He's a great artist.
Yeah, and the direct market variant is by Bernie Wrightson. It's an older cover for Dark Horse Presents 101. It was a very well-known Dark Horse Aliens cover. So I'm like, ooh, which one do I want? Do I want that classic old one or this new really cool one?
He's a legend, dude. He's I think he's well known in the comic book industry. Yeah.
I mean,
this is beautiful.
Yeah, the aliens look great here. They're moving in really cool poses there. I love how the little light reflections on them, those hard edges with that. Like, that's a really solid cover.
The front and center one is it's obviously predominant and it looks great, but it really sticks out as a beautiful image of the xenomorph. To be honest,
that sense that it's just turning and looking at you right there is great.
Yeah, that's great.
Also, the omnibuses have been really impressive with their lineup, so I really need to give Marvel credit for that. This will be the first time the Alien Resurrection movie comic adaptation has been reprinted. Yeah,
nice.
So
yeah.
Marvel, and I haven't looked at the full lineup I have, but I can't remember them all for this one. And but I remember being like, oh man, another solid one after 1 and 2. So it's great that Marvel's been very quick to collect all these original Dark Horse releases. That's been awesome to see, and I hope they continue that.
Marvel's very good about, like with Star Wars, I can say right now too. I mean, we talked about this last time, reprinting
the Legends stuff.
Yeah, all the Legend stuff, but reprinting stuff that's really hard to find, or kind of these special feature stuff and like stuff that's rare. They've been really good about reprinting that. So yeah, I definitely not surprised that they're adapting that Alien Resurrection comic book for the first time in a long time, because they're really good about that, and they kind of know they like to kind of give fans, at least from my perspective, a lot of everything they can, pretty much. And I think this is it's a fun thing for people to want to go and buy the omnibus, right? They give you guys a reason to kind of rebuy these comic books you might already have. It's like, oh man, you got the Alien Resurrection reprint in there. That's, I don't have that in there yet. So yeah, this is definitely a very much a double dipping tactic that succeeds, if you will, right? So yeah, and so the last thing we'll end on, which I did not, again, I'm really bad with my news, but I'm really glad you are on top of it, sir, because you have brought up. I'll let you take it away here. So I'll bring the cover up. Tell everyone what this is, sir.
So I kind of mentioned this, I believe, in one of our previous episodes, but this is the Aliens one-shot, Aliens Aftermath, that Marvel's coming out with, kind of as part of the celebration for Aliens 35th anniversary. That's this upcoming July. And the writer for this one is, let me just pull this up right here, Benjamin Percy, and the artist is Dave Watcher, and the colorist is Chris Sotomayor.
People I'm not really familiar with, but this art is great.
Right. So we recently got a preview of some of the panels in this, and so this artwork, I feel, has gotten a much more positive reception in our community than LaRocca's, and personally for me, yes, I'm really digging what I'm seeing here. Right. It is a bit stylized, but it does have a very old school kind of Aliens comic look about it. The whole glowing alien there, I know some have speculated that that's like an irradiated alien, because this takes place in the ruins of the Hadley's Hope colony after it was nuked at the end of the second film. So I'm really looking forward to this one shot.
This will be fun.
And the art is a totally different style, and I'm digging it. So this shows me like there will be Aliens comics with different artists that I will like the art with. So that's good. That's a relief, Marvel. And I don't mean to hate on LaRocca so much, but I just feel like sometimes with with some art like with Land and stuff like that, you just have a certain experience with it, and you're like, that's just not for me. Sorry. Like
that makes sense. Yeah. And I'm wondering, to me, and again, this is from the Alien, you know, I'm not the diehard you are, sir, but it seems to me this idea that what people are speculating on is a very inspired idea with this whole glowing alien thing. I'm really intrigued by that concept. Obviously, with the Hadleys here, I would imagine you're probably correct. They're hinting at what this is, obviously. Yeah. And if this really is it, that's a really cool concept, I think. So I think it's really inspired. I'm with you. The art is very stylized. I would say almost to the point it's I wouldn't say cartoony is
not
the right
quite
word.
Cartoony, but it's leaning there.
It's a little more, it's a little more in that more traditional comic sense. Like if you look at her face, she looks very like you said, not less realistic,
more stylized.
Yeah, exactly. So, but at the same time, I think it looks good. This looks phenomenal. So, I mean, I'm ready to go. So this is what I'm excited about is when we finally are together on something. And I'm hoping this might be, I'm not sure when this comes out again. When
July.
July.
So for the anniversary.
Yeah. Well, so perfect. So we're gonna have this. So hopefully this could be the first comic. Maybe not. Maybe 5 and 6 will turn around for us. But this could be the first comic that me and Adam will be praising together.
July 14th.
Oh, fantastic! I can't wait.
Not too long.
Yeah, man, this is great. And if you haven't checked this, if you guys haven't heard about this, pre-order it at your local comic shop, put it in a pull list, whatever. Speaking of pull list, do you have a pull list, Adam, at any comic shop? I would assume you would.
Yeah, Black. Well, I have before. I don't have an active one now. I've just been kind of going in on release day and picking them up. But Black Cat Comics is my local comic shop in Sugar House, close to Salt Lake City. Cool. I definitely recommend that place. They're an awesome local comic shop. So you're up in Seattle. I remember Golden Age Comics or Collectibles.
Golden Age Collectibles. It's in Pike Place Market.
Right. That place was awesome. Like,
it's very cool. Yeah.
When I go back to Seattle, I definitely want to stop there again.
Oh yeah, we'll stop. Yeah, if you come to Seattle, first of all, we're meeting up, and I'm buying you lunch.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to get a drink or something.
Yeah, and I'll show you around if you haven't been to Seattle before. But yeah, no, man, it's Golden Age. I've been there a number of times. Good place. I've gotten a lot of key back issues that I've been looking. I used to when I was hunting back issues a lot back in the day. I definitely went there and got a lot of stuff I needed. I actually go to Dream Strands in Seattle, which is off of 85th. One of my favorite, also the location of one of my favorite restaurants called Gordito's. Check it out if you're in Seattle.
Seattle did have great food. I've only been there once, and it was 2009. So it's been
been a while. It's been a minute. Well, dude, when you come out, I'll hook you up. But yeah, I go to Dream Strands, and I had a very isolated box for a number of years, and I just revitalized it recently. It was still active barely, but it was on ventilators at that point. But now it's been revived, and I've got a few more issues on my pull list. I've been mainly digital for most of my comic reading, but I do pull full physical single floppies. But I'm definitely got into trades, as you can see back into physical comic books from trades perspective. So so I think I was just curious if you still do a pull list, because I'm assuming with Alien and Predator there's a lot of stuff you need to be pulled, but yeah, it seems like they have been been a little bit out of the commission for a while, but yeah. Again, Adam, I always have so much fun when we do these. I do.
Yeah, I'm sorry to keep coming on here and bashing the comic.
No. It's great. No, man, because again, I always say it. I love the different opinions, and I know I have a feeling, at least with Aftermath, we're going to be praising this comic, one thing I can't wait, and when we do align, is how we can break it down from the comic books perspective that I will have a little more, and then your diehard Alien stuff, and bringing that together and just kind of dissecting what we got, which will be a lot of fun. We're doing that with the Alien series now, but it's just because of our differing opinions, I think it's hard to kind of dissect it completely. You know what I mean? So what I'm excited about is diving deeper into something like that. So I can't wait. And again, we are going to be doing that Alien. I forgot the name of the story we're going to eventually do. What is it called again?
Genocide.
Genocide.
So once we finish this one, we're going to compare the two.
Yeah, we'll compare the two. And I've read it, and if you haven't read it, it's on. I'm sure it's on Marvel Unlimited, or at least Comixology Unlimited, or something like that. It's super cheap. You can get digitally. It's a quick read, and I don't mean that in a bad way. And I'm interested to get into it with you on this one. It brought up a lot of different issues, this comic book issues, problems, positives, all kinds of stuff. It's all kinds of stuff in that comic, which I can't wait to go, dive into, and especially compare it to with this, because I almost feel, I'll give you a little hint of my opinion here, Adam. I almost feel it's like the problems with it are almost the exact opposite of each other. Like they're like, if one problem is one on the other, it's like the exact opposite of the other. Crisscrossing. It's weird. I'll explain when we do the review. I'll make more sense then, I promise. But anyway, we'll do that here in a couple, in a few months here or whatever. But again, I'm excited to dive into it. Again, Adam, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find your work? Besides obviously AVP podcast,
yeah, so I'm with AVP Galaxy. Okay. Our website is avpgalaxy.net. We're one of the older Alien and Predator fan sites, and we have news, we have a podcast, we have a YouTube channel. We're on all the major socials. If you search AVP Galaxy or Alien versus Predator Galaxy, you're sure to find us. If you'd like to discuss Alien with other nerds on our forum, then come join. It's an active message board. So if you'd like to follow me personally, I am on both Twitter and Instagram as @RidgeTop21.
Yeah. And again, Adam is awesome. Their shows are just, again, they're awesome. So please check him out. Follow all their stuff. Follow him, please. He's great. And you can follow me, or first of all, subscribe to this channel and like the channel, or like this video, and all the videos, or whatever you want to do. I'm so bad about saying that at the beginning of the show. I need to start getting better about that. But I say that for
smash that like button.
Smash the like button, guys. It's really appreciate getting that algorithm. I do appreciate getting the algorithm, and all the people that had made comments in the last show we did for this series of episodes we're doing with Adam. Thank you so much. I definitely feel people have been responding well to the show. And I think it's because me and I have a good chemistry, and it's in the content interesting. And yeah, I'm having a blast. So again, thank you so much, Adam, and people who are saying nice things. I really appreciate it. And again, if you leave a comment, I really appreciate it. I love it. I love hearing people's opinions. If you don't like what we're talking about, explain. I'm all about open conversation. I don't want to be, as long as you're not being negative to like just be a jerk to any one of us or anybody. I'm all about hearing it. So please leave a comment. Let's talk. Let's leave it open for discussion. So, but anyway, follow me on Twitter at Herman22 with 2 N's, aka P Thug, as you can see here, and also the Comic Binge at Binge Comic. I just started a TikTok as well. That's Binge Comic on TikTok.
Oh, I hopped on the TikTok bandwagon.
I did. It's actually a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing it. And I haven't updated a video in about a week or so, but I got a couple of things in the pipeline potentially, which I'm pretty excited about. So, a lot of fun on there. I haven't done too much on TikTok, but it's getting there. I've done some fun things. But anyway, follow me on there at Comic Binge. I'm on TikTok. So again, we'll be in that back next month with issue 5, maybe some more news, and we'll have Aftermath too, right? We'll have 2 comics.
Should be out by then, yeah.
All right. So we might have an even longer episode, which I'm all about. So anyway, again, Adam, thanks for joining us, and
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And again, subscribe to the channel, and like I always in the show, read more